We're live. Close. Close to 8:30. That's how you can tell it's almost hunting season. Greatly underestimated my ability to roll around this corner of the room. We'll get this thing fired off here in a minute. I'll give everybody a few more minutes to join in here. Oh. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we're going to fire it up. This week's episode is brought to you by Deep Roots Rifle Company. Elevated excellence rooted in integrity and reliability. Use the link in the description to get over to their website and order just about everything you'll need to get into the woods this fall, from fully custom rifles built in-house to flashlights to help you find your way in the dark. And be sure to tell them that UPO sent you. Peter and the guys over there are some awesome dudes, and they're building some top-notch custom rifles. Worth spending your money on. You're talking about being able to have something that's gonna that's heirloom quality. You know, it's hard to find stuff like that anymore these days. They don't make stuff. Seems like they don't make things with the intention of you being able to hand it down to your kids one day, and that's frustrating to me. Everything's gotten cheap. Used to be, you know, wood was the only stock, was the stock material. And now, and then when they first came out with the synthetic stocks, they were nice. And now they're just synthetic, i.e. they're made out of, like, some of them feel like they're just plastic as thick as what's on a water bottle. But, I mean, they work, they shoot. Some of those guns shoot quite well with that thin stock. It is what it is. But Peter and those guys, they're cranking out some awesome, fully custom, semi-custom rifles over there. Give them a check them out. I hope all you all are doing great this evening and throughout the week. This week we got the bear meeting coming up on Wednesday. So if you're listening to this as the recorded version, that's going on right now. And as soon as you're done here, you should hop over to the Florida channel and watch it. That's what I'll be doing because I'll be working. But hopefully that goes our way. That's what our show Monday is about, is the bear meeting and how that's what they're gonna how we expect that to go down, how we hope it's gonna go down, as long as the hunters show up in the numbers that they need to, as they did last time. Be a lot of crazies up there, so we'll see. But it's almost hunting season. We got roughly 40 days, something like that, right around that time frame, for Zone C and a lot of the southeast down here, opening up mid to late September. I think this past weekend, I think South Carolina opened, pretty sure. Maybe it opens in a few days. But still got some time yet for states like Alabama. But hey, they also run a lot later in the upper zones of Florida. So this week we're talking about camaraderie and solitary, as in feelings you're getting when it comes to hunting. Hunting in a group setting versus hunting solo. What you get out of it, what you don't, right? So, camaraderie being hunting as a shared experience, stories, teamwork, group energy, and solitary being hunting alone, self reliance, personal challenge, and deep connection with nature. Um, so, the social hunt, the camaraderie hunt. When I think of camaraderie and hunting, the first thing I would think of would be bird hunting, bird hunting in general. Spare maybe turkeys, right? That can be a solo hunt. I mean, I guess all bird hunts can be a solo hunt. Um, and I can understand how there could be a beauty in a solo bird hunt, especially if it's you and your dog. Getting to be there, watch your dog work. You getting to witness for the first time all the hard work and effort you put into training that dog to do what it's supposed to do. I could totally get the want behind being solo in a situation like that. But when I think of bird hunting, I usually think of a group setting. 2 or 3 guys in a duck blind, 4 or 5 guys, you know, online across a field, doing a drive for some upland bird, some snipe, sitting in groups, 2-man groups down the 2 or 3-man groups down the edge of a dove field. Which I haven't done that in a while. I need to get out and do a dove hunt. And what I think about when it comes to that is the laughing, the joking, the carrying on. It seems more low pressure than sitting in a deer stand by yourself. You get the celebrations together immediately after seeing success. You got the birds coming in, they're working the decoys, stand up, pow, 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 3 birds dead. You guys are pumped, you're excited. The dog's going out retrieving. Or if you're down here in Florida and you're hunting in a lake full of gators, maybe you're slinging a fishing pole out there to drag them in. Top water plug and a treble hook works great. Except you're going to also get weeds, so keep that in mind. And there's also there's safety in numbers, and not to the fact that, like, I say there's safety in numbers. You think of like being hunted by African Plains game or something like that, but no. You think of that more along the lines of if something were to happen to one of you, you can rely on the others to help get you out of a situation or to get you help or whatever you need. So, but also the camaraderie can go into deer hunting as well. Just because we sit alone in the tree stand doesn't mean you have to sit alone in camp. So, there's a group aspect to that, and I think that is a group aspect that I enjoy. When I hunted, when I was fortunate enough to live where I hunted was only 20 minutes away from the house I spent most of the time, like when I lived in Kentucky or when I lived in Georgia. We actually leased property that's right down the road from the house, but Kentucky was hunting a lot of public land and a little bit of private. That the furthest we drove was 45 minutes, so there was no need to try and stay somewhere and create a camp. And I lost that camp atmosphere. I grew up in the camp atmosphere, right? I grew up hunting property in South Georgia, leased property in South Georgia. As a kid, hunting camp was a place to escape the troubles of 5th grade, or middle school. It was a place to disappear. It almost felt like a mini vacation because we went up there and we stayed for a day or two. Friday night, Saturday night, come home Sunday most of the time. So you were kind of going on a vacation, right? I've done the solo deer hunts, where I get up, I drive myself out there, I hunt by myself, I drag by myself, I clean by myself, and you celebrate at best over the phone. And those are rewarding. There's something special in doing all the work yourself, and you do still get to share some of the joy with uh, people over the phone, friends over the phone, or whatever, through pictures or texts or phone calls, but it's not the same as being in person. The benefits of having people in a group, your hunting buddies with you, whether you guys are in camp or whether you're in the duck line together, you got that encouragement when the hunt gets tough. You might have a buddy who'll convince you to stay just 30 minutes longer and things pick up, and that's what you've been missing the whole time. You can learn from each other's skills, learn from each other's mistakes. Um, and I think one of the greatest things is you get to create traditions that can pass down for generations. Uh, like the smear in the blood, little war paint after your first deer as a kid. Um, I've heard of far worse things after a first deer as a kid, but that's what we did. Cutting off your shirt tail after you miss a deer. I thought Larry, my buddy Larry, we put a little camp together a few years ago, missed a buck with his muzzleloader. And old Jake, I thought he's going to go into a fist fight. Jake threatening to cut Larry's shirt tail off. Larry's wearing like that fancy Under Armour camo. We all got a good laugh out of it, though. And that's what matters. We get to laugh at each other. Laugh at each other, laugh with each other, laughing, period. The drawbacks are, and you see this, I see all the time at the duck blind, is the potential distractions. You get to laughing, joking, carrying on. Next thing you know, they're in the decoys, or they're right over your head, and you're shit. Nobody's paying attention. Now we're gonna try and jump birds and shoot them out of jump them up out of the decoys. That's no fun. Well, I mean, if it's fine, but it's not as fun as seeing them coming in, watching them getting ready. There's not as much anticipation in my mind. Jumping birds out of the decoys or water swatting them. I'm not jumping birds out of the decoys. I'm gonna water swat the shit out of them. I'll tell you that every day. Every day of the week, I'm water swatting birds. That's the most ethical shot you can make on a duck, is a water swat. How you doing, AJ? You don't wound ducks when you water swat them. Think about it. And they can compromise on pace or strategy if you're going on a long hunt. They may disagree with your ideas, but again, goes back to you could learn from each other. So then we get into the lone pursuit. Things that might draw you to go out there by yourself. And I can tell you from experience, the peace and quiet, moving at your own pace without compromise, greater sense of self-reliance, knowing that you can do every single bit of that hunt yourself. There is something to it. It's peaceful. You get to play. I found myself hunting by myself, just riding in silence. No music, no radio, no nothing. Slow through the woods. Enjoy the view, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the smells. And you get time to reflect and think, contemplate life, contemplate decisions on how far you really want to drag a deer. Duck hunting by yourself can be rewarding, be a lot of work. If you're going out and say a kayak or a layout boat, you're paddling out a layout boat or something like that, you're not going to have anybody shooting birds earlier than you want them to, because you're the only one shooting. You have a smaller footprint as a one-man duck hunter, so you're easier to hide than 4 or 5 guys. Um, the hunt, in theory, could be over a lot sooner, could be a lot longer. I mean, you could take the time to really let birds work in and see that and see your birds and pick your birds. I mean, say you're chasing like the perfect full plume teal, right, AJ? The perfect full plume teal. That Drake blue wing or Drake green wing, you can let them get in and sit, and you can get a good look, and you can pick out a individual bird because you're chasing that mount for that to complete the collection, and then you can take that shot, and then you can chase a limit after that. That'd be what draws hunters to a solo adventure, right? The benefits are heightened awareness and connection to the surroundings. It's quiet. You're quiet. You have nothing else to focus on except for what's around you if you leave your phone in your pocket. And it's a stronger personal accomplishment. But I would say one of the biggest drawbacks in any aspect of hunting, whether it be deer hunting, whether it's elk hunting, whether it's duck hunting, whether it's upland bird hunting, there's a safety risk without a partner. Those risks can be mitigated by telling a friend, telling a loved one, hey, somebody you trust, because you got to give them the pin. This is where I'm going to be. I would always tell my wife when I would go, sorry, babe, I had a paper map up on the wall. This was circa 2012-ish, so about 13 years ago. I would take my little magic dry erase marker and I would put a dot in the general area where I thought I was going to be inside of a smaller area or on that map, because it's a good topographical map. And I'm also using the same topographical map to figure out where I want to go hunt and things of that nature. So I can pick that draw I'm going to be near or in and put a dot there. And that's going to get you close enough to where you can hear me yell, right? And I would tell her, well, sunset's at 6:30. So if you haven't heard from me by 8 o'clock, because it shouldn't take me about 30 minutes to get out of the woods, and you got to be mindful of your time if you kill a deer, especially if you don't have cell phone signal, then something could be wrong. And I would always be sure that when I was done, that I'd shoot her a phone call. Shoot her a phone call, send her a text message, hey, I'm out of the tree, everything's all right. It's going to take me a while, get a deer. I'm like, hey, good news, got a deer, got a drag, got a skin, got to get it checked in, and go from there. So that's how you're going to mitigate that safety risk. But when you have a partner with you, they should know, we're going to meet back at the truck by sunsets at 6:30. So legal shooting light ends at 7. We're only 45-minute walk from the truck. So if you don't see me by 8 o'clock, we might have a problem. So you know where I'm hunting at. Come walk in that general direction. On a lighter note, you don't have anyone to share the moment with immediately. Because if something crazy happens and no one was there to witness it, did it really happen? Unless you got it on film, And it is physically harder if you're packing a deer out by yourself, or an elk, or anything else. Same goes for ducks. You're getting those decoys in and out of the water by yourself. You're setting up and breaking down a blind all by yourself. It's just more work. So we'll go group hunt versus solo hunt influence. With a group hunt, you can, we're in reference to deer or upland game, birds. I've hunted quail with another guy, Tyke, which I haven't seen him here tonight. And we get one guy would walk through the bushes on the side of the road, and the other guy would walk the road and shoot quail. And then we'd switch positions and go to the other side of the road, and we'd pop them back and forth, shooting quail. No dog, just two dudes and shotguns. You could push deer, but even better than that, I'll give you a story of a group deer hunt where the perfect strategy. I mean, perfect strategy. Myself, a friend named Galen, and a friend named Brandon set up in a block of woods. And I said, I'm going to sit here. Galen said, I'm going to sit over there. And Brandon said, I'm going to go complete the triangle, and I'm going to sit over here. I said, all right, man, well, I'll shoot a doe. I said, I'll run them to you, Galen. Galen, you shoot another one. We'll run it on over to Brandon. We'll call it a morning. We'll just load the truck up. And that was a joke. But it turned out to not be a joke. I had a set of 5 does come out of me in the morning, first thing in the morning. And I shot one at probably 15 yards. She ran off, and the other one split, hit it straight towards Galen. I said, they're coming to you, bud. Not 10 minutes later, boom! I was like, hell yeah. And he tells Brandon, Brandon, I said, the group chat, they're on the way to you. Like, this is going to be perfect if this works out. So I get down, tell Galen I'm going to find my doe. He says he's going to find his. I find mine. I drag her out to the road. By the time I get out to the road, Galen's already got his out to the road and got the truck. So Galen comes, picks me up. We load my doe up, go get his doe, load his doe up. And then as we're loading his doe up, we hear, boom! Brandon says he's got one. Got 3 does in the back of the truck within 2.5 hours that morning. Fantastic morning. Spent the rest of the day cleaning deer, making jerky. A lot of fun, and drinking beer. And that's the memory making versus the private shared stories. It's cool because we all 3 share that story together, and that's an absolute blast. Another great shared story would be when I killed the 13 point that I killed. I was hunting with my buddy Tristan and my buddy Brian up there in Kentucky, and I shot that buck, and I started yelling for Tristan. Then he answers me back. I'm like, Tristan, I need your help. I need your help. So he didn't say anything. So I started climbing down the tree and get to the bottom of the tree. I'm like, all right, I'm just standing there, pumped. I can see my buck laying up the hill. I'm just stoked, thinking Tristan's going to be here any minute now. Wasn't there. So I packed my climber up. So I'll pack all this stuff up. By the time I got it packed up, he'll be walking down the hill. Not there. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to carry it to the top of the hill, and I'll set it down because I don't want to carry it and drag that deer at the same time. I'll see him when I get to the top of the hill. Still not there. I was like, all right, well, I'll carry this all out to the road, and I'll see him coming down the road to get to me. Still not there. So I walked down to his climber. Dude's still 25 feet up a tree. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm hunting. I said, dude, I need your help. He said, oh. I said, you not hear me yell for you? He's like, yeah. I said, what'd you think I said? He said, I thought you said be quiet. Boy, I said, why would I yell across the woods at you to be quiet? So he climbed down. I went and got Brian, and it took us 3.5 hours to drag that deer 2.5 miles back to the truck. That was a pain in the butt. That was a big buck. And I wouldn't, and that's that shared story. I've got the private stories. The first buck I ever killed with a bow, and the first deer I ever killed with a bow, I was completely by myself. And I could tell the story over and over again, but nobody was there. Nobody to really share it with. Very successful, and it felt great. Knowing that, like, I know what I'm doing. It's a reassurance to say, I did this all by myself. I know what I'm doing. But I'll save that story for another day. The camaraderie is good because you get to share in the highs and the lows. Being solitary, it's also, the good thing about being solitary is you've got the deep reflection and personal self growth in the moment. So when you're thinking about maybe I'm going to go solo, maybe I'm going to bring a buddy, let's think about what you're chasing. I don't really want to hunt elk by myself because I don't want to have to carry the damn thing out by myself. I don't even like hunting deer by myself anymore. I would rather, and it's not for having to drag them. I would rather have that to share with somebody, and have somebody to talk to in the middle of the day, than be by myself. Because I've sat there and just napped, and it's kind of boring. And then your terrain and difficulty, and that goes back into the safety aspect of it. We talked with Keith O'Hara, almost drowned and gave himself hypothermia duck hunting because he flipped his kayak. AJ says, that's how I feel when I killed my first buck with a bow in Kentucky all alone on my own. I love hunting with a friend more. The shared experience and story makes it all worth it to me. I wouldn't say you did it all by yourself, AJ. I know how you got that pin, but you were hunting by yourself. But yeah, you're right. There's nobody there there's nothing like having that buddy to share in the excitement of walking up to that deer when you first see it for the first time dead on the ground. It's one thing to look at it when you're going to shoot and you know it's a big deer, but the feeling of success when you finally walk up to that animal and it's down, he's done. He's going in the truck. The next place is the back of the truck. And you're so pumped. And then you're by yourself. You don't have anybody you don't have anyone to be pumped with you. That kind of sucks. It's good. I mean, you're happy. But it's more fun when somebody's pumped with you. Your personal goals. So if you want to go solo hunt, you're pursuing that one particular trophy bird for the wall, and you want to make sure that that's the one you get, or simply the experience. You want to know what it feels like to spend 3 days and not say a word to anyone, not say a word, period. And then safety considerations. That goes back to terrain, difficulty of the hunt, how far out you're going to be. But that, again, you mitigate a lot of that stuff by, forming a plan. When somebody should expect you back by, how often they should expect to hear from you, so on and so forth. I would encourage you to try both and see how they shape your relationship with the hunt. It's interesting. So, key differences. One, obviously you're with friends, and just because I say the camaraderie doesn't mean when you're deer hunting that person has to be in the tree with you. Although I have done that before, and that's also fun. Go back to Tristan again. I have literally sat with Tristan near where you killed that buck, AJ, in a tree that had one stump and two trunks side by side. And we climbed climbers next to each other. And the whole reason we did that is because Tristan had been slaying deer, seeing deer left and right all early season. I think he had shot 3 does. I'm like, boy, spread the wealth, because we weren't seeing squat. And I'm sitting in that tree. Mind you, I'm trying to play the wind right, trying to be quiet, be still. Tristan's up there playing games on his phone, smoking cigarettes, drinking Coke. He don't care. And he's seeing deer, killing deer, slinging arrows, having the time of his life. So we climb up in this tree next to each other. We get sat down, nice and quiet. I just hear, psst, and I look over. He's cracked the Coke. He's like, you want a drink? I was like, yeah, why not? So I crack a Coke, start drinking a Coke. He's playing games on his phone with the volume on, really low, but on, smoking a cigarette. I'm like, there's no freaking way we're going to see deer today. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking out to my right, and I hear Tristan whisper, "On your left." I was like, "What? On your left?" And I look to my left, and I lean forward to look around him, and I shit you not, there's 3 does standing there. It's like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Sure enough, shot a doe that night with Tristan, and then Charlie went on to do the same thing after I did, sat with Tristan and shot a doe with a bow. But that's a memory a memory we share. We sat right next to each other. When I shot my first buck here in Florida with a muzzleloader, my brother was one tree over from me, and that's a memory we share, and it's cool. It's fun to share those experiences. But like I said, deer hunting doesn't always mean having to have somebody right with you. It's more of a camp aspect, or you ride in the vehicle together, and then you split and go your separate ways. Whereas duck hunting, you may be in the blind together, so on and so forth. And solitary, it is an experience in and of itself to just go out there and do it all by yourself. Every single step of the process alone. And it is cathartic in a way. Haven't done it in a while, and maybe I should this year. It's good to just, I don't know, do something different. If you've always hunted one way, switch it up this season. See what you learn about the game. See what you learn about yourself. Tomorrow morning, we got a show about the bear hunt. And if you're listening to this on Wednesday, it's already out. If you haven't listened to the other one, jump back and listen to it. Hopefully that goes the way we want it to go. That's what we're shooting for. And it's going to be good. If you guys got any questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media. Send me an email at underpressureoutdoors@gmail.com. All lowercase, no spaces. I'd be happy to answer your questions on here. I've answered a few listener questions, and we've gone in depth on stuff. And I really enjoy doing that for you guys. It's a lot of fun. Something I've really enjoyed doing these with you guys, and I appreciate you being here and participating with us on YouTube. And we'll keep it going. Hell, we're just 23 episodes in. Keep it rolling. It's been a lot of fun. But I'm going to hop off here. We'll catch you guys next week. I'll cut this recording and hang out for a minute. AJ, I still wish. So for those that get to stick around and actually are going to watch this on YouTube, that buck that AJ killed, because AJ went to Fort Campbell. I was stationed at Fort Campbell from 2012 to 2017. And then AJ and I were stationed together at Fort Stewart I was there 17 to 19, and I think AJ went to Campbell at 20 or 21, something like that. And I was like, dude, here's some pins. This is where I've seen a lot of deer. And, check these spots out, hunt on post. Sorry, sucker goes and sits right there close by to where I sat with Tristan. Smokes a beautiful buck. How big was that buck, AJ? At least a 12 point, I do believe. Absolutely beautiful buck. I'll get him to send me a picture, and I'll put that up on Friday to talk about this episode. 13 point. Okay. Yeah. I got to get you to send me another picture of it, and then I'll use that to tease this episode again on Friday on social media. That way everybody can see it. That's a beautiful buck. There's good deer up there. I miss that, hunting that spot, hunting that place, hunting that area of Kentucky. It's a lot of fun. I've never seen more deer hunting than I have when I hunted up there at one given time. Like, I think the most I'd seen in a day prior to that hunting was probably like 6 or 7. And I'd sit up there and I saw 23 deer in one day. Like, I had seasons down here in the South where I didn't see 23 deer in a season, let alone 23 deer in a day. But, all right, well, I'm going to jump off here, and we'll catch you guys next week. Appreciate it.